Welcome to Daily 5 for Thursday, May 18th, 2023. Logitech recently announced that it is going to start making at the current time, two of its mice, the Logitech MX Master and the MX Anywhere, which I think are both wireless mice, or wireless with wired options. They're actually going to make parts of those mice replaceable and repairable by end users. I think at first they're starting with the sliding feet on the bottom, when you move a mouse, those can wear out over time, and the actual battery, which for a wireless mouse is one thing that batteries that are rechargeable in almost everything only have a certain amount of life. So they made this announcement that batteries and feet, I believe it's the feet, can be replaced, and there is apparently going to be a expansion of that, or at least a potential expansion of that on the horizon. And this does line up with, I've gotten several surveys because I'm with Logitech, I'm in one of their, they send out surveys and different things. And several of them have mentioned the idea of repairability. And I always mention that it's something that would actually be really good to have, because there was another story in the last couple days about, or maybe it was last week, about these smart plugs that Belkin makes, the Wemo Smart Plug V2s, that have a security vulnerability that Belkin has essentially said that they're not going to patch, and because the products are end of life. And so the message behind that being to people, if you're concerned, just throw them out and buy a new one, which, along with a number of other larger problems with the way that technology is discarded, is just a tremendous generator of waste. And at some point, there is going to have to be some kind of reckoning with what we are doing in terms of throwing things away. And with stuff that's got sealed batteries, you really almost have no option unless you're going to spend a lot of money to have a battery replaced. For example, in your cell phone, most cell phones are sealed batteries at this point, and many laptops as well. If that battery goes, which it's going to eventually, although with laptops, they tend to last longer. As I've said many times, I had a Mac laptop that was 9 years old and was perfectly fine, and it may have lost 10% of its battery if it even lost that much. But most consumer devices, and especially ones that aren't as expensive as Macs, tend to lose their charge at some point sooner. I have a pair of earbuds that I really like that Sony made, and they don't make them anymore, and the battery is clearly on its way out. It is barely holding a charge. And these are earbuds, so it's not like there's a way to have them plugged in and use them all the time, which is a shame because they're great earbuds. And if I could buy a battery and replace it, I would keep using them. But I know that at some point, probably in the next 6 months, I will have no option other than to get rid of them. And I don't know if there is a way to recycle these particular headphones. I'll look. Some things you can. You can bring some items. I think Best Buy takes most things. They may take these earbuds. I'll have to check. But there are other companies that take them for recycling. But most people don't make that effort. Most people just throw them away. And we also don't do a good job of passing things on. It's one of the reasons I try to take really good care of most electronics, and not earbuds. I wouldn't give somebody earbuds because that's kind of disgusting. But I try to keep really good care of the things that I've got, like mice and other peripherals, so that if I get a new one, somebody else gets it. It doesn't just get thrown into a garbage bin somewhere. And so I really like that Logitech is doing this, and I wish more companies, and like Belkin, I don't understand why, if their message is we're not going to replace these, which is, I could do a whole thing on how much of a garbage response that is. It's a really crappy thing that Belkin's doing with those smart plugs. I'll put a link to the article. Or maybe you can just go find it. It's not worth linking for this because this is more about Logitech, who I want to actually commend on what they appear to be doing. We'll have to see how much they follow through. But to just tell people, oh yeah, just throw it away, don't use it anymore, it's a really terrible, not only is it bad customer service, it's a terrible environmental message. And not that I'm necessarily the environmental super person in the world or anything like that, but at the same time, there are things that do seem reasonable that maybe we should be doing. For example, recycling things that we can, or being able to repair our devices. Because I've had Logitech mice where the battery suddenly went, and I would have loved to keep using the mouse. There was nothing else wrong with it, but there was no option. I couldn't do anything with it because the battery was sealed inside and there wasn't a way to replace it. Well, that does seem to be changing. So I hope this is something, and I'd love to do the same thing with keyboards. I have wireless keyboards. I'd love to be able to replace the batteries on those for ones that are sealed. This is a great thing to do. Let people have the option. I mean, some people are just going to throw them out and buy new ones. You're never going to be able to change that. Some people are just going to do what they're going to do. But for people who want to make even a modest effort, letting them repair things and giving them more life is not a terrible idea. And I know people will say, well, then they're not going to buy new products. There will always be people buying their new products. If anything, this encourages brand loyalty. If you feel like you get more out of something, you're more encouraged to buy other things from the same person. Doesn't mean that you're going to keep buying the same exact thing, but you will go back to that company if you think that they're giving you products that will last. So hopefully Logitech keeps going with this. This is a good first start. We'll have to watch and see where it goes. Later.